Okay, hello everyone. This is the WordPress Naperville May 2022 meetup, and today we are talking about what's new in WordPress 6.0, which is going to be released next week, hypothetically on the 24th. But Sally and I have our beta test plugin set up on our WordPress installations. So Sally's going to be walking through a lot of what the new features are that are coming out next week to give us a preview. Sally, you should have co-host capability.
Okay, I'll share here. Share the right one. And I'm going to move that over here somewhere. And okay, so here we are. This is just a little site I use for training and testing things. So we just have the 2022 theme going on. And so you probably recognize that. The big difference with 6.0 is you're going to move to much more full site editing. So what is that? So if you have been using a page builder or a theme builder, you've already been doing full site editing. Basically, you've been building your own header, you've been building your own footer, you've been building templates for different types of pages. You've already been doing it. If you've not been using a pager or theme builder, just buckle up. It's cool. Okay, you're gonna like it. It's kind of a shift in your thinking in some ways, but in other ways, you're gonna find it really useful. So you'll see up here at the top, we've got the regular toolbar. You have Edit Site and Edit Page. So edit site is where you're going to get into, and I'm just going to open a new tab because I just find that a little easier. This is where you're going to get into how the full site editing works. So it's very templatized. So you'll have right over here on the upper left, you can edit the site. You can edit different templates. So you can see this one comes with the page, single post, blank, page with no separators, search, home, lots of different, that's the whole template you can apply to a page or post. And then there are template parts. So you've got a couple different headers already done, or 3 different headers already done, and a footer already done. So that can be useful, especially if you're building landing pages. So you can have one of those headers that don't have any other links in it because you want people to stay on the landing page or use only the link you've got on that landing page. So that kind of thing is really helpful. And also if you're building a site that has member areas, so those headers and footers might be a little bit different depending on what's available if the person is or is not logged in. So real quick, let's look at this header. And I'll also show you some other kind of cool things now that are available in creating both your templates and your pages and posts. So this navigation up here looks pretty familiar from the block editor. Here's where you can choose new blocks to add, just like always. But the nice thing now is the list view is already here, and it's a lot easier to navigate to. I want to change the navigation. Okay, and it's got a page list. So it makes it a lot faster to find things rather than floating all around and trying to land on the right box to get what you want. So we can we can save that and we can go back out here to the template. So if we go to the templates and say we want to create another, or we want to change the page template. So this is basically what's on any page template. So sometimes you don't want that post title to show on your page template or on your page. You want to use the special H1 you've added in, even though you might have a different name of your page. Well, easy peasy. Remove that and save it. Now, every page that uses that template, no page title to worry about. Again, you have this nice layout of all, or I'm sorry, the list of all the different things that are in your page. So say maybe you would like to have your post featured image and your spacer, you'd rather have those in 2 columns. Okay, super easy. Let's go up here to columns. And I'm just going to use the ones that come straight from the block editor. Claire's going to fill us in on a little more of the fancy things here in a little bit. So maybe I want it like that. Use that column. And so now I'm going to go to the list, and instead of trying to drag this box into this box, I'm going to come right over here to the list, drag it right under there. Ta-da! Now it's in that column. And now I want my post content in the other column. And now it's there. So it's making a lot of that a lot easier, a lot of more drag and drop kinds of things. So now I'm going to save that. Yes, I'm ready to save. Okay, how about a post? Let's look at a post. We're going to add a new post. And so I have my title, post. Let's see, let's add a block here. I'm going to add one of the patterns that comes with this theme. So I'm just going to put that one in there just so we have some content. Okay, so now that I have my block in here, so I have the cover and the image, I can change my settings now over here. A lot of the settings have been condensed. So let's add a paragraph under our lovely picture here. Come on, there we go. So it still works the old way too. Sort of, if your mouse skills are better than mine. Okay, and over here we have our options. So we have colors. We can change the text color. We can change the background color of the text. Can make it completely hideous and unreadable. And links we're going to make yellow. We don't have any links in here, but there we go. So you can make those changes, and you will be able to set what those basic colors are in the theme.json. I will get into that in a second. Typography itself is a little different. So here, this is where you can change the appearance, the line height, lettercase, and letter spacing. So you can choose which of those things you want to set. So it has some defaults of the text, or if you just really prefer to set that yourself, maybe you want it 3 rems for some reason. And you'd like for it to be bold. And the line height, well, we'll leave it at 1.5, but I'm going to make everything capitalized. And you can change your letter spacing too. Spread that out. None of these things should ever be done on any page. This is hideous. I'm just showing you guys what's possible. You can still add anchors, anchor text, and you can still add CSS classes, and you do still have access to CSS. But you might notice back up here in this top menu bar, we don't have the customizer anymore. Okay, because you're doing everything now here by styling each block. Some other kind of cool things with blocks, if you have 2 or 3 blocks of paragraph text, you can select text from 2 or 3 blocks at a time. You can also, let's see, I'm looking over here at my notes real quick. I don't want to talk too much about the block styling and block patterns because Claire's going to fill us in on that. let's jump into the web fonts API, because that's a new thing. I'll publish this horrible post here. Oh, this theme isn't showing it for some reason. Another box will appear down here, not just add tags, but it'll say, what's the category for this? So you don't have the dreaded uncategorized blog post, because those always get lost. So there will be one more box so you can publish it immediately. Public, private, password protected, just like always. Publish immediately or scheduled. And then it suggests that you add tags. There'll be one more box down here that you set the category then. So publish. So, and then if you were going to then link this post somewhere else, you can automatically copy the URL and get on about your promotion of your thing. So right now, this one is showing the category here. It will be on that publish button as well. Okay. It's a little frustrating sometimes when you're using these plugins and you're on bleeding edge. Not everything works exactly the way you want it to, but it will be there. Web fonts. Web fonts are going to work a little differently. You will put the information in the theme.json. This particular site I'm working on is hosted on SiteGround, so I'm going to go into my tools there. In my file manager, depending on where you're hosted, you'll either have a file manager like this, or like a cPanel, or you'll have to SSH or SFTP in to see your file list. But get over here to your, this is the one I want. And I'm sorry, I had this on the right folder and it reset on me. So bear with me just a minute. Okay, so you still have your CSS. So you can still make changes in CSS. Like I said, on the posts and pages and in the blocks, you can still add CSS, oh my goodness, CSS classes to things, and you can still write CSS just like always. You do still have a style file because that's required by WordPress for everything to work, because that's where you have all your theme information. And so that is still there, but then you also have the theme.json file. And this is where you can set a lot of your standards for your theme. So in appearance tools, duotone, these are the colors that are available. And you'll set the slug. I'm not going to go deep into how to use JSON. I'm confident that everybody can take a look at this and then kind of look up what you don't understand, but this is the basic structure of it. But if you wanted to add a new web font, you can use the web fonts API. So instead of having to connect to Google Fonts or another font repository like that, and then so you have another call on your site, which makes it a little slower. You can add it right in here, and I'm looking for the typography section. Here we go. Okay, so here in the typography section, we have the list of all of the fonts that are available in this theme, and right now it's System Font or Source Serif Pro. But say we wanted to add another one, like say maybe we wanted to add in this other one here. I'm trying to get over here on my notes. I'm sorry. I'm just going to save myself the aggravation. There we go. So this is the typography section and the font family. So maybe we want to add in a new family. So I'm going to just copy some text here. And we'll add it in right here. So this text here I took from a blog post from Kinsta. They did a nice explanation of all of this, and I'll link it here in the chat in just a minute. You can add in new font families, and you will have to upload the font, the TTF and all that to your theme, but you're going to reference it right here in the theme JSON. And so that makes that font then available for your whole theme. It's also a nice way to limit the number of fonts that are available, so you don't have everybody doing Comic Sans and Papyrus everywhere, and it's all much more readable and much nicer. And so these are the places that you'll be able to set those standards that are across your whole theme. I'm gonna undo this now just so I don't accidentally cite it. So let's see, what else did we want to go? Oh, global style switching. Okay, you can do some global styling. This is really one of the things that was one of the most awaited features in, whoops, I didn't want to click that. For 6.0, the theme author can now bundle sets of global styles with their themes. So the user can switch between style variations. And it's kind of like having ready to use child themes already. Let's see, the theme supporting global styles variations show a browse styles item in the global styles sidebar. So say we're going to edit the site here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to do the site. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I wanted to do edit the page. So we're going to edit the page. And close that. So I'm sorry, I'm blanking on where this is. Why won't it let me show it? Why won't it let me see it? Oh, it wouldn't be a demo if everything went the way it should. Oh gosh. All right. Well, anyway, I'll move on to this other thing, which is also something some people were looking for, is the code editor. So you can edit in code if you want to, instead of the visual editor. Let's see, I need to get to that style editor though. Why can't I find it? If anybody knows where it is, shout out, because I'm blanking on where it is here. Aha. All right, so this is the style editor. It's on the edit site editor, not the page editor. So it's this little guy right here. Looks like an off and on. You can choose what typographies are available. On this one right now, it's just System Font or Sans Serif Pro. You can choose how the links should look. So if you maybe you want your links to be in a different font for some reason or a different size, or again, you have these options that you can make them bold or semi-bold. If your theme has a light or dark capability, that would appear here. And colors, these are the colors that are available. Those were all defined in that theme.json file. You want your background maybe to be kind of that peach color for some reason. I don't know why you would, but maybe you want your text to be white on that. Anyway, that's how that works. So again, this experience is a lot more like a theme builder or a page builder than it is the regular WordPress theme. I'm looking in the chat. Nobody's had any questions yet. If anybody has any questions, do let me know.
I have one. Are you using this full site editing for client sites yet?
I'm not yet. I haven't really been able to dig into it and learn it as well as I do page builders. Speaking of page builders, though, I did see an ad today on something else for Elementor is now doing kind of a hosted, managed page builder kind of site. So that's kind of interesting. But I do Beaver Builder. I know a lot of people do Divi in this group too. Same kind of experience, though. So I've rambled on enough. It's been like half an hour. I'm going to turn it over to Claire.
I had another question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Does anybody know if there's a way to limit the number of patterns that show up when, the patterns that come with your theme, the one used in the demo? Is there a way to hide any of those?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
I think so. I think you can deregister all patterns, and then you can add just the ones you want as well. Okay. I say that with like 80% certainty. So I would need to look that up.
I'm going to guess it's going to be somewhere here in the theme JSON.
The list of patterns, maybe. Yeah. I was wondering because I'm starting to use more and more patterns, block patterns in projects with clients because you don't have to write code for them so much. But then they're always buried behind 30 other patterns that just came along with the theme or with WordPress itself.
Here's in the styles. Here's so here's a pull quote, a query title, a quote.
Those are core, so there's got to be patterns in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta figure it out, but they're changing. So I can talk a little bit about block patterns.
There you go. I think
thank you.
This is to disable the default block pattern.
Well, that's what I want to do.
Okay.
So that my custom block patterns can shine.
Yeah. I will also really quick put a link to this article from Kinsta that was really useful. Everyone can take their time to go through that if they want to.
Is that the one that? Yes. So with a caveat that as you're going through that article, some of the things aren't quite even in the beta yet. Including this next thing that I wanted to demo that I just could not get to work, and I assume it's because it's not in the beta yet. So I'm going to take over screen sharing and look at this desktop. Okay, one of the things that looked super cool. Can anyone see my desktop now? Those are my notes. Let's go to my block pattern. One of the things I was really looking forward to that they talk about in that Kinsta article is this sort of implicit block pattern registration. And block patterns, along with block templates and reusable blocks, are sort of building blocks of site content now, where you can define a block layout and save it, customize it, and then just reuse it throughout the site in different ways. and it's a great way to sort of create custom modules of blocks without having to actually do any coding, or without having to do too much coding. So a block pattern, if you have a block pattern, let me show you where a block pattern would show up. Sally went into this a little bit. But if you have a page and you want to add a block pattern, it's either going to be in your black plus menu under Browse All, or this other menu up here under Patterns. And these are all patterns that come with WordPress or come with your theme, and they're just kind of pre-layout things where you can go in and change. You can change they sort of give you a layout that's already designed, but you can change the color, the headings, anything in there, and use it as a template on your own site. And you can define your own block patterns. And the current or old school way to do this is with a snippet of code where you don't have to know too much PHP, but you just have to know to copy and paste this register block pattern function into a file in your child theme. And then you have to know to go get the code from the code editor and paste it into this content area. So kind of like a step up from a very simple copy and paste, but not too challenging. But the new way to do it is even easier, but it doesn't quite work yet. The new way to create block patterns is it's called implicit block pattern registration, I believe. Let me get my page with my block pattern on it. So you get this is my example block pattern. Let me edit the page. You have to be in the editor to do this. I've made this simple little block pattern the way I like it. It's a set of columns with a background color and an image and a button. And the new way to register block patterns is going to be to select your block that you want to be your block pattern. So I'm on my columns right now. And I'm simply doing a basic Control-C copy and paste. So I selected it over here in my editor and pasted it over here in my text editor, and it came out as all HTML. And then you just grab the formatting like this. This is kind of like how child themes work, where you just, in page templates too, where you just put a little thing at the top of your file, and WordPress will know what you're trying to say with this stuff. And this, of course, this would say Claire's block pattern or whatever. And this would have the name of my child theme. Spelled correctly, probably. And your pattern name. And if you save that as PHP, it ends up looking, with text formatting, it ends up looking a little like this. So you're basically just copying HTML and putting a little blurb at the top of your file, saving it as PHP. And that is going to be, that's going to then show up in your block pattern menu as a pattern that you have access to within WordPress. And like I said, that's not quite working right now. WordPress 6.0 comes out on the 24th. Sally and I are using the latest beta, and it doesn't seem to be in this version, but maybe, in a day or two, or hopefully completely by next week, they will have this new block pattern registration set up. And I know this is something that is super confusing to everybody who deals with WordPress. A block pattern is like a template of a section of blocks, a chunk of blocks, where the intent is that you put it on your site, and then you can go in and change it. And every time you've added it to your site, it can have a different picture or different words on it. That's different from a reusable block. A reusable block is when you take a chunk of blocks like this, save it as a reusable block. Then it shows up in your block menu. Whoops. It's going to show up in your block menu here. You'll get a little preview of it. This is a single block that is used throughout the site, meaning if you put that block, a reusable block, on 10 pages, it'll all be exactly the same. Every instance of it will be the same. If you change one of those, they update everywhere. So it's almost like you're creating your own little widget, whereas a block template is something that's just a pattern that's intended to be reused in different ways and different content throughout the site. So that's going to be cool. And it's as a backend developer, these sort of things are really nice for me because it's less coding for me and more of doing the fun stuff. The other thing I
So,
wanted,
Claire,
sorry, go
the
ahead, yeah.
reusable block would be like if you wanted to have the same call to action on 5
Yep.
different pages.
Yep, or a contact us, or
Yeah.
yeah, something that's going to be exactly the same every time you use it. And if you update one, they all change, which is super handy. I haven't used them a whole lot yet. I do use block patterns a lot on client sites because it's so much easier to just make a, an image and an alignment or a few columns and then just save it for the client to reuse rather than trying to train the client, then add 2 columns, then space them like this. It's a shortcut for editing that can be very handy for people who don't want to be digging around in the guts of the block editor all the time themselves. The other thing I wanted to show is the query loop, which is one of the most exciting recently made blocks for me and isn't quite where I want it to be yet. So a query in WordPress is something that grabs you a list of posts and displays them. And then you usually want to see the featured image, the title as a link, date, author, excerpt, categories, tags, how many comments it has. And there's always been plugins that will do this for you with short codes. I think the oldest one is called like cat list or something. I remember the short code, and then it has like 30 different parameters you can configure to create lists of posts. The one I use a lot right now is called Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. Has a really nice post grid block that creates a grid like this with a little more formatting and gives you controls over it. So this is a query loop with the new stuff in it. Query loops are a little tricky to figure out because they're just kind of weird the way they've designed them to work. I'll show you how maybe I'll just show you how they work first, and then I'll show you how to set one up because they're really kind of weird. Their controls are in like 4 different places. But we can look in the structure here for the query loop. So the query loop is this whole thing. You can see there are about 8 posts displayed. And the post template is the wrapper that controls what is displayed for each post. So we have in here, each post has a post featured image, a post title, a post date, and a post author. And you can move those around if you decide you want to change how they look. You can design each individual block in the block settings in the right panel. You can set the individual blocks. If you just pick one and change it, it'll change for all the posts that are displayed within the post template and the query loop. So it's a handy way to create lists of posts with the fields that you want to have displayed. And you once you're inside the post template, it acts just like regular blocks. So if I want to add a new thing at the bottom here, I'm going to insert after and see what else is available. If you start typing post, it'll show you any block that has post in front of it is available to be used in a post template. I'm going to add the excerpt after these. And you can see I added it in one place, but it shows up in every instance of the post that's within the post template. And I'm going to hide that because I actually don't want the block. I don't like how that looks at all. Okay, so the query loop has been around, I think, since WordPress 5.0, but they keep building it out more and more. And it's almost gotten to the point where I'm going to find it useful. Right now, the new things that are coming out in 6.0 are, let me get my query loop controls. They've added filters. So you can control what posts are listed. First off, we have post type. You can see we've got post and page, and I have 2 plugins that are adding custom post types, one for bill, like a legislation, and one for event from the events calendar plugin. And WordPress automatically picks those up and offered those to me. Now the utility of this, not great, because for events, at least, it'll show me the events, but it's going to order the events by a published date and not by the actual date of the event. So not too useful for that yet, not until it gives you the opportunity to order it by a custom field, which we do not have an option to order by a custom field yet. But for your basic text type of posts, you have ordering options, whether you want to include sticky posts or not. And now category filters, which is awesome. So I can start typing and it'll show me the two categories I have on this site are white kittens and striped kittens. So I can limit my custom post query to just white kittens. And you can also limit by author. I haven't actually tried limiting by keyword, but I guess it'll just, usually in WordPress, keyword looks at the title and the post content. It's not going to look at any custom fields or image captions or anything like that. So it is going to look for a word that's in the post title, most likely. Another new thing in query loops is a few new fields in the post author block that you can include. Sorry, just a second. Excuse me, so that pollen in the air. The post author has been added, and now post author has a few more settings. Show or hide avatar, show or hide the biography of the user. And this is the author, of course, is a WordPress user from over on the user's screen, and the bio is the description field from the user there. And the avatar is being automatically pulled from Gravatar if you have an account on Gravatar, or if you have a plugin that controls and allows you to upload user portraits, it would pull in that instead. So I'm this for me is a super useful direction for WordPress to go in, because there's a lot of times where clients want, you know, like the 3 next events next to each other in a nice little grid, or the 3 latest featured posts next to each other in a little row with their images. That's a nice thing to add to any landing page, or at the bottom of a post with like other stories from the same category. And it's getting easier all the time. I still want a few more features. Like I want to be able to control. Oh, I can control the post title. Oh, I can do that now. I don't know why I thought I couldn't do that. I can change the post title to an H3 if I want, which is super handy. Okay, I take it back. This is getting pretty useful. I thought I had in my notes that I could not change what the tag was for the title, but I can. And you can also use other blocks inside a post template, like it could set up columns and have things arranged into columns, which is great for me because I don't know CSS very well. So having a WordPress provide the columns for me helps me line things up neatly. And that's about all I wanted to talk about with query loops, because they are someday they're going to be great, and they're about 60% great now. Give it a few more versions. I'll be using them all the time everywhere.
Do they have options for columns now that, like, let's say you have 3 columns here and you have you're going to a smaller screen. Does it ever give you option to choose how many columns based on the screen size, as opposed to it's either 3?
That's a good question.
Or I think it automatically might go to 1 at some point without you saying anything. Like stack on mobile, I see is checked.
Yeah.
But
So
there's no way to go. Say you have 2 rows and you have 3 things in each row. It will never go to a 2 by 2 layout, 2 by whatever. How it depends on however many rows.
There's not a middle.
Oh, see,
It's either
that's
how
one
it is
feature I
or
really want.
or yeah.
Eventually we'll get it.
Yeah. They keep adding new stuff all the time. So let me see. So with columns, we have color columns, and they're supposed to be adding options for borders on your columns in 6.0, but it doesn't seem to be here yet. Again, this is just the beta. So
you can do borders and tables, but not on the columns yet.
Yeah, there's padding now.
Yeah.
You get the stack on mobile. I mean, but it doesn't define how you can stack it, which I think is what you're.
Yeah, I want to drop down gracefully. So I don't want like this, like 3 columns to start getting really, 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 really narrow, and then all of a sudden 1 column. Or it gets, see, like, and then usually the image might grow to fill the space. But
yeah, that's, well, I probably had like hard coded the dimension for the image, so that's probably not great.
Yeah, that's I'm not worried about that part. It's just, I just want
It doesn't
to be
stack
able
till
to
you
go
get
to,
to like mobile width.
yeah.
And that's where it stacks. And then it stacks again. There. But you don't control that unless you're putting it in the
Yeah.
global settings somewhere in the theme CSS.
Yeah, I think you'd have to do a lot of work with classes and media queries.
Claire, where did you have your pattern, your block pattern in your theme? Like when you added the PHP file and you pasted the code.
The new way. It's supposed to
Yeah,
be, and you're supposed to put it in this patterns folder inside your
it's
child theme.
patterns in the root of the child theme. Okay. And it doesn't
then
matter what you name it.
I think it's a situation where what you, this is a bad name.
That's like the slug or whatever
Yeah,
of the
I think
pattern.
I haven't actually seen the documentation, the final documentation of this, but I'm imagining that the name of the file has to match the slug of the block. That's kind of how page templates work. When you have this sort of, PHP doc block at the top controlling things.
Okay.
But like I said, I couldn't get it to work at all. So it's probably not final yet. We're gonna have to
Do you have
check
to have
when they release
patterns
it
in
next
there
week.
in between demo site? Because since it's in that patterns folder?
Yeah, it's in my patterns folder.
I
Oh
know.
my
So on
goodness,
the
wait, why is
slug,
it so why up here doesn't it say, yeah?
It doesn't
in the
say that
slug where you have demo
in
site
the
/ do you have to have
documentation.
patterns in there?
It didn't say that in the documentation. Let me try that just to see
Maybe
if
we
it
can
makes
try.
I'm
sense.
guessing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So this is my
Hey,
local
worth a shot.
worth a shot. Yeah. I tried to see if it would work, and like if you didn't have to create a child theme, it would be nice if people didn't have to create a child theme if they'd somehow managed a way around that.
Yeah.
And I tried it.
Well, I mean, you don't really have to create a child theme, right? Can't like I'm wondering what the purpose of child themes is going to become once you have a full site editing theme.
Unless you just want to white label it. I don't know.
That's not it. No, I can't get it to show up.
See, these are the ideas that I'm.
Well, what I was talking about
all
was
the
the sort of
reasons you would
the style collection things that almost
Mhm.
seems like a child theme right there. I mean,
yeah, well, and they touched on it in that Kinsta article. It's like it's in a way it's going to do away with the need for child themes because it's in the theme.json, which I guess does not get updated if the child theme gets updated or if the theme gets updated.
Yeah. Oh, doesn't it?
I think that, I mean, that would be kind of a big risk to take. You might have to try that out.
Yeah, you need to be really sure that whatever you're putting in your theme directory is not going to get overwritten.
Right. I did notice when I set up my test site here that I had 2022 installed and it called for an update before I even put the demo plugin on there. So I don't know if they had updated it to work with the demo plugin with the beta plugin. I don't know. I don't know what that update was. Honestly, I was in a little bit of a hurry. I didn't look at what the update was.
It's one of my concerns with this direction WordPress is going in is that there isn't a separation so much between code and content anymore, that a lot of your styles and control of layout is actually saved in the database now, which I mean, in some ways makes it easier to move around and easier to save and transfer. But in other ways, you can't just, you can't just FTP a bunch of files to a server and then trust that there's not going to be any weird content they're screwing with them. Everything is all kind of mixed together in the database.
Yeah, it's
version control is sort of really tricky when you're relying on database only changes.
Yeah, like how could you save a certain spot in your, I guess you would just save a copy of your theme JSON file or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the theme JSON file will be in your project folder. And if you're, say, creating block patterns, you might create the block pattern in, the WordPress editor. You paste all the code, which contains the classes that control the styles. So all the styles are really being applied through a CSS custom property. So one of your colors there in the sidebar, when you say apply that gray color to the background, or change the color there.
Yeah.
These are all saved as custom properties. So only that name of the thing is saved, and it's a key value pair. So when you change the value in the database, actually, let me think about that. If you change the value there in the database, then that key value pair is stored in the database. You can also put it in your theme.json file, which makes me really want to disable all editing of the styles in
Right.
the sidebar.
Yeah. Which actually,
Once you
I mean,
get the
you can
design.
do that.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you
remove
can do that and say
all of
only these
that.
4
You can
colors
remove
are
as much as you want.
available.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can lock things down pretty well for clients.
Now, the authors that are working on themes now that are really going to be purely FSC, they do that exactly. They say this is your white, this is your black, this is your medium tone, this is your dark tone, and then you go in this theme JSON file and define exactly what those colors are with the hex codes. So then you choose white, black, mid-tone, dark tone.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that sort of giving the clients a palette that they can do whatever they want with these 3 things.
Yeah. Well, it'll keep it, especially if you're turning it over to an organization where you have 3 or 4 different people from different departments working on things. It keeps the site consistent across all the pages.
Now, I saw in the block pattern, the newer block patterns header area, that there are options for I saw something like Viewport, not in your demo, but when I was just searching online, Viewport Width. So does that mean that this block pattern would show in this way at this viewport width?
So you're saying that in this copy, if the copying and pasting, it was showing up in the HTML part here, or in this JSON part here?
In the header area, it would have a key value pair, viewport width, we'll say 900 or whatever. That's one of those things in the array that you can include. But what does that mean?
That's interesting. So that kind of implies that it's you know, when sometimes you can set mobile.
The pattern and the inserter. Oh, so that's not as cool as I thought it would be. It's just saying how wide the pattern is. I was hoping that would do some fancy, like you can have 3 of these, and depending on the viewport, this is the one that will show.
Yeah.
I guess mostly it would be CSS changes anyway, not markup changes.
Well, I was wondering if like display conditions, like do these things show up in the JSON? Like if like responsive visibility. I wonder if you could do something with responsive visibility like that.
I think that's a class that's like hide on desktop or whatever, depending on what I think you have to check something below that though. After you turned it on, you have to, then there's a setting further down.
It just says UAG display conditions responsive visibility.
But you didn't mark an option.
Okay, wait, oh my gosh, let me go back. So I selected columns. Nope. I was in advanced. I went down to, oh, I see. Yeah.
I think it's just control the CSS. So if you checked turned one of them on,
so that'd be useful. Like
it would give you a class.
Hiding a video header on mobile or something like that.
Yeah.
So let me double check. Let's see how that shows up. So that is in
There.
Right there.
Hide
hide
mob.
mob.
True. Yeah.
Why is it saying UAG? I don't think I even have. This should be WordPress core.
That
Oh,
was a
maybe.
WordPress column thing, but does it take over? Is that responsive visibility a thing, a setting
Yeah,
for
it's
Ultimate? I don't think
sneaking in
maybe
there.
that's not WordPress.
This
Yeah.
plugin is adding it to
Ultimate
the
add-on. Yeah.
core WordPress blocks. That's what it is. Okay, now if we go back, it won't be there. I thought that was part of WordPress this whole time. Okay,
I do
wait.
too.
It's because I use that plugin so much. Because it has such a
They
nice
do a lot of cool
post grid.
stuff.
That post grid is great. Okay, so yeah, so what it's done is add this class here, and I can delete that class, and that gets me back to WordPress core. Okay, so WordPress itself isn't doing anything to help you figure out how to change this for responsive or desktop or whatever.
Yeah.
You're on your
I
own.
mean, unless you dig into the CSS and see what's in the media queries and
Yeah,
all that.
I mean, you could easily add those 3 CSS classes if you liked that, like where to hide it. That's just like 3 lines of code.
Well, it's stacking because you have columns nested in columns, right? On that pattern.
Well, it's columns in a column block.
Stack on
It's
mobile.
not nested columns.
Okay. Because it's stacking
Sorry.
your text and stuff, and then it's
Stack on mobile is a WordPress default.
yeah.
There, it's marked. So
We have column, and then within the column, the heading, paragraph, buttons, and button, that's restacking as it gets narrow, and then the whole thing is restacking.
So it's stacking within the
isn't that
column.
already stacked? Isn't the header, paragraph, button?
Oh, maybe it was.
Stacked?
Maybe it just.
Yeah, so they start like
oh,
this.
maybe it was just the word wrap on the button that I
Oh,
was
yeah,
seeing.
It's
probably.
definitely jerking around the image size and things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was the word wrap on the button that I was
Yeah.
seeing. Never mind.
Jump, smooth, and then stack.
Whack.
Could be worse, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not great. There's still a lot to do manually.
I do encourage everyone to get in and spin up a little test site and play with this stuff, because there's a lot. There's just a lot. It was hard for me to even narrow down what I did talk about.
It's the direction WordPress is going then, although I really do appreciate WordPress's attention to backwards compatibility. It's some of my client sites are like 6-7 years old and they still work just fine in the basic WordPress stuff, but it seems to be the way things are going. I think you can, this being able to set the dimensions for the featured image in the loop, I think is new. Although I wish it let you choose the image sizes that were defined either in settings or in the theme itself.
Can you do that in the little toolbar that is appearing over?
Over the featured image?
Maybe.
That's an interesting idea.
I've
got width.
Oh, it's just wide width or full width. Okay.
Yeah, I've got width. I've got the duo. I've got the
if you click on
filters.
the plus next to dimensions in the sidebar, does that give you more options there?
Not what I want. Yeah, I want the pull down with the defined image sizes in.
So that's because it's the post featured image, which is, oh, but that's in the query loop. Yeah.
Yeah, but it should, there's this media setting down here. There's defined image sizes. It should at least give me the choice of thumbnail, medium,
it gives
large.
you it if you insert like an image, or even I think if you insert a featured image on this page, because I know we went through that a little bit on.
No, I think you're right about that.
A single.
Like if I was making a block template. Yes, a block template. If I was making a block template.
Well, that's not even showing you it.
I don't think I can do it on this.
And you're outside the query loop.
Yeah, maybe I need to do, if I was making a block template, how would I do that? A block template, for anyone who's worried about what a block template is when you create a default template for a post type and save it so that every time you click new, you get a pre-populated layout of blocks for your post, which can be super handy for clients too. But you create it by kind of setting up the blocks and then doing the same sort of copy paste thing into a file. So this should let me, yeah, I think if I think I've done it, but I think I had to do it like right in the code. Where did I do it? There we go. Block patterns, block templates. Yeah, there's a size slug parameter for post featured image inside the block template, but it won't give you that. I think you need to add it yourself manually just by knowing to go to the documentation and look it up.
I mean, those options they give you, the cover, but actually you don't have cover. Do you on the query block?
Have cover?
Have the three, like
no.
2 or 3 of the like aspect ratio type of images.
Wrong page. Query
Image
block
setting.
query loop gives you all the ones that have, now you can use.
Yeah, okay, so
Oh,
cover, contain, fill. You're gonna probably want to either cover or contain. Probably cover.
What is a cover? What is cover?
Cover
do?
will make sure it fills everything. Contain will fill one dimension until it reaches that dimension, and then it won't crop anything out. So it will automatically have space, usually on the either top or sides. It will just it will make it as big as possible within the block without copying things. Cover will just make sure the height and width is filled, regardless of how much it crops.
Okay, I got confused. I thought you were talking about the cover block, which is not.
Oh, no.
Which is something else. What you're talking about is the property of the image.
The scale of the photo.
What's the difference, fill?
I've never understood the difference between cover and fill.
Fill stretches. Image will be stretched and distorted to completely fill the space. Contain, scale to fill the space without clipping nor distorting.
When would you use fill?
Scaled and cropped.
I don't know. I've never used fill. I've used cover or contain.
But usually when you're doing like a little post previews like that, you don't really need to choose the image size. One of those 2 options is what you'd want anyway. Cool. And hopefully WordPress is smart enough to not load the full size image when you're only showing 200 pixels square.
This is one of the weird things about Query Loop is that you have to set some things up here. Like if you're looking over here on the right these are all your controls for Query Loop except how many to show. And that is shown here, which is really, really weird. And it's under this like weird little menu that doesn't look like it controls quantity at all. But that's where you set how many are returned per page. Oh, that's why I'm only having a few because I have white getting set.
Can you inspect the size of the image that's shown?
See if it's doing a cool screen source thing.
I'm sure it's using the source set, but
source set.
Okay.
It's loading a really big image, right?
Well, no.
No, it's setting its
maybe
height is.
I think it's probably loading that very bottom image that was like 587 pixels or something. I mean, it will load all of them. It will have it in the string.
I'm chatting the URL if you want to look at it yourself.
Thanks.
Oops. Along with my message to Kathy. It's kind of funny because I'm starting a couple new site builds this week, and there's things that are going to be in 6.0 that I'm pretty sure I'm going to need. So I'm kind of trying to hold off on, like developing some things until next week. like I don't, if I work on it now, I'll just have to redo it, right? But I'm not getting into the full site editing at all. That seems, I've experimented with it a little bit, but it still seems really like it looks like you need a lot of CSS HTML skills to make the most of that, and I don't have that. I still depend on the theme for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I appreciate that they're moving towards more kind of drag and drop, more useful things like that, but there are times you just need to work in the CSS.
Yeah.
You just do.
Yeah. Right now it seems to be these updates seem to be targeted a lot more towards people who are like with fairly like good WordPress skills. Like you have to have pretty good technical skills to understand how to use this stuff, but then are working on their own sites, because a lot of it isn't really stuff that you could just turn over to a client, or that you couldn't trust a client not to screw up. I don't know if you could set up an entire project in full site editing right now, unless it was a small site.
I mean, I think, I don't know, my like go-to are these block patterns. I think they're like,
love them.
Block patterns and the templates are like mind-blowing to me, that you can set up all these like elements that you might see in a style guide as patterns, and you can have like the variations of them, or you can build the variations into the block style itself, kind of like how WordPress has, if you look at the buttons, or I think image has like the option to have like a rounded image or just regular image. Like I feel like that kind of stuff, as the theme developers, designers, like it makes the full site editing thing easier for a client to then take over if what they're going to do is choose from a list of blocks or clone existing templates. But
yeah,
I mean, if you think about what clients would ask about like 8 years ago, they're like, why do I have to paste this weird looking short code in this editor, the classic editor, which wasn't called classic editor? Like it was so hard to explain, okay, this is, or like this is HTML here when you switch over to, because sometimes you had to switch to the scary code view and like only touch this in between these two quotes. It's like,
can I show everyone a cool thing me and Stacy did with block templates? This is our block templates as training, as client training. Let me see what site this is going to be on. It's going to be on this site. So this is a site where there's a particular layout for events using the event calendar, except, and they did tell me that I could show the site as a demo, except, of course, events are complicated and horrible, and nobody wants to actually learn how to lay out, the 30 blocks you need for an event, especially if it's things like, and then there's this full width image and all this. So what we did was we set up a block template, which every time you create, let me go to the new, every time you create a new event, it starts with the block template, which is the default template that loads when you create a new thing. So it loads your instructions because we didn't want the client to have to like just be slammed with this giant confusing block layout and not understand what to do it. So it starts with, also there was a little buggy in the, if you put all those blocks in the
event calendar plugin makes it impossible to use your own post template. So this was our solution.
Yeah, it is the date pickers, all the JavaScript in the date pickers gets buggy if you try to set a block, if you try to set a post, what am I saying, a block template for this post type.
Yeah.
So basically what you do is you read the instructions here, and we say click black plus, click browse all, look for event single, and it shows this is our event single. You add that, you just go through and fill out your stuff, come back here, delete this blue thing, and then you've got your this is a block pattern.
I styled that.
this is a block pattern so that they can just go through and fill out all the details of their dates. And it's already got the, it tells them what size image. It's got their buttons and everything all laid out into columns already with the spacing, so they don't have to worry about any of that. So it's certainly a little challenging to a total newbie user, but a lot easier than just handing them a big stack of blocks in the WordPress interface and telling them, here's your fancy layout, try to replicate it.
Yeah, they had just block on top of block. We wanted like 2 columns, and we wanted like the register button always here, and you couldn't do that with even using their custom blocks. They just won't let you put it in a template for whatever reason. It doesn't save after you hit publish and come back to it.
But yeah, putting it in a block pattern just gets around all those problems. And then you kind of gives you the opportunity, you turn it into an opportunity to have these sort of instructions as you're editing.
Making
nice.
lemonade out of lemons.
Right. Yeah, I really like the block patterns. We were going through some design comps today with a content strategist, and he was like, how are you going to build that? I'm like, oh, that's just a block pattern. We'll just glue it together and save it. No problem. It's like not even worth getting a back-end developer for it. So I really like that stuff, but the template full site editing still kind of, I don't know about that. Kind of weird.
I'm really excited. I mean, all of the page templates are just HTML files, and you can build them all in the editor and then paste them in your theme. Like while I am way more comfortable doing it the old way, because that's the old way and that's how we've done it forever, like I feel like this is going to open up so many opportunities to people who don't want to learn WordPress specific version of PHP and template tags and hooks and filters and stuff. Like you can just paste HTML. It just feels a lot more accessible to more people. And then good luck with your JavaScript and your JSON files.
Right. Yeah. We'll all be JavaScript developers.
Well, that's the thing. That's really the like theme author part of it. For just the regular user part of it, and being able to build all those things and then just turn them over to them. That's the really good part about it. Or if you're a person who wants to build their website and you don't care about all that stuff, you just want to put a picture here.
Layout is far more flexible now.
Yeah.
Blessing and a curse, because a lot of people don't know what to do with that. Well,
if you look at some sites that are built with some of the other CMSs, whether it's Wix or Weebly or Squarespace or I don't know, some of the hosts now have them too. There's still a skill set there. Everybody has the same tools available. There's still a skill set there to create the website.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, and we still need designers for sure. I am not a designer. I will tell people, if you show me something you can I build it. I can build it, but if you ask me to create it, I don't know.
Is that next post, previous post new to 6.0? I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
I mean, I think
they did say that
those, but
they did say that some of the pagination stuff is new. Like there's a for the query post, there is now a no results block that you can customize. Let me see if I can find that. I'm not sure where to put it though. I guess we just put it. Oh, maybe it's not from Cloud. Yeah, I think some of the new pagination things, some of the new blocks are pagination blocks. Let me see. Let's get the big list. Navigation is that new menu block that I don't like very much. Yeah, next post, previous post, post comments. That's a new one too, where you can control how the comments are displayed. Archive title, that's interesting. Oh, that's just the archive title on like a archive template. Yeah,
Which
I don't
is so
see that.
nice that we're getting
Yeah.
more micro. We have a lot more control over like which things to include or not include and what arrangement, because before it was just like the byline, which you couldn't change the date in the author order. It was like a specific order.
Oh, yeah. And
It's
every
nice.
client wants a different order too. Yeah.
One thing I didn't mention, because it wasn't available in this version of beta that we have, is there is also a way to lock blocks so that they can't be moved or removed.
Ooh. Per page?
It's
Moved or removed from, yeah, like lock
yeah,
them in,
it's
like how?
it's about halfway down in that Kinsta article. I really wanted to show that because I really wanted that to work. So I really wanted to show that. That'd be super useful.
It's gonna find all the instances of lock. Just a second, let me put a space there. Block
There you go.
locking.
Yeah, that's not easy to say.
Block locking.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to find it. So it just must not be in the version of beta that we've got, but yeah, so it can't be removed or.
That is neat.
That would be really useful on sites, especially like financial advisors and stuff have to have certain compliance information in there. So it'd be nice to be able to lock that so that it couldn't accidentally be removed.
So that would be if you were looking.
Movement.
It looks like it would be in this menu.
Yeah, I couldn't find it though. I think it's just not in the version of beta that we have.
Not in our bleeding.
What
edge
if you move
beta.
everything else around it? Like, what does prevent movement mean when other blocks on the page are moving around?
I don't know.
Maybe it's always at the bottom of the page or always at the top, something like that.
Or maybe it's like there's you always have to show the attribution or caption with a photo, something like that.
Yeah.
And
Inside
presumably you could
the block, maybe not externally.
Yeah.
But maybe you can set it at like a pattern level or a group level. If it's a group level, it controls the blocks, not the content. I don't know. We'll have to see. Sounds cool.
You can you
If
can
anyone
also
knows, feel free
restrict
to
block
unmute
editing.
Just shout at us.
Yeah, we're just
and you can retain
discussing.
styles too, so they can't change the styles of things.
Well, that's kind of a nice workaround where you don't have to actually disable all the color palettes from the sidebar if you want to use them, but you can lock it and like, yeah, it helps probably if
Lock
you're
everything.
developing things and you still
Yeah.
need that as the developer implementer, but you don't want them to edit anything.
Yeah, it really depends on
I don't
the
know.
client.
I just existentially, I kind of struggle with that because I'm like, okay, I mean, if I'm not doing the maintenance or whatever, it's, okay, I built it. Your site's yours to mess up if you want to, I guess. Just don't tell anyone I built that.
That's exactly why I like it. It's like I went to all the trouble of like setting up this beautiful site and you're just gonna like put purple headers and like align things in the middle of nowhere with the wrong size.
Yeah. And then they say, well, I hate this site. What, you built me this site. Well, no, you made that change. But you have to find a way to say that without saying you messed that up.
And sometimes clients don't even realize that what they're doing looks bad. Like they just don't have a design mentality and it's like, it looks fine to them. They want everything on the page to be important. That's why it's all different colors and bold.
Yeah.
Well,
or
then there's
everything in the header
issue. Like some colors, have enough contrast, but there's other colors in the color palette and not every color combination in your color palette will have enough contrast. Anywho.
Does anybody have any questions about what we've been talking about? Fun speculation about 6.0 and the future.
I feel like this is a Saturday Night Live skit, like a really nerdy one of us, like just trying to figure things out.
What is going on, WordPress?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm new.
Hi, Leah.
Hey, I'm
Leah?
actually, and I'm more of a designer, actually more than developer, but I have used WordPress before. Currently using it now for a project. So one thing we are also using is Elementor. Is Elementor. So regarding these updates to 6.0, if we were looking to do some of what you were talking about, I guess we're all still kind of learning Elementor actually, and the developers on my team aren't very knowledgeable with PHP, so they're learning as well. So, but these updates and everything would be applied also to Elementor as well, right?
It's kind of separate. I mean, it's going to
Yeah.
interface with Elementor in some ways. And I think some of us, Leah's the one who posted in our Slack channel about the accessibility project she's working on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I actually don't know enough about Elementor to know exactly what it pulls from WordPress and what it doesn't. You know how like we showed that plugin where there was that thing that was set for mobile and desktop, and you know, Stacy and I thought that was part of WordPress, but it turned out to have been part of a completely different plugin. So it's going to be something like that, where it might just be integrated with WordPress, or WordPress integrates its updates with Elementor in a way that you can't really tell what's what just by, you know, where it's coming from just by looking at it.
I can speak to it a little bit. It
Oh,
works a
please,
lot
yeah.
the same way that Beaver Builder does and Beaver Themer. You're either, any page or post is either going to be the block editor or your page builder. It's not going to be both. So if you're using Elementor on that page, everything on that page will be built by Elementor. Now, if you're using, I don't know if Elementor has a themer the way that Beaver Themer does. If you're using a themer, then that's going to build your whole theme. So it's going to build your header and your footer, and you set your styles and all of that. If you're just using the page builder part, your header and your footer and all that can still be controlled with the full site editing aspect of 6.0. But the content of your page will either be built with the Elementor blocks or the block builder blocks. You won't have both on one page.
And if you're using a theme, like a universal or a non full site editing theme, you'll still have that customizer in your sites. That's only going away, I believe, for full site editing sites for now.
Yeah. And the theme will be full site editing. So there's some of the theme authors now that are building themes for full site editing, and some that are not.
Would you ever need to use a Divi or Elementor with a full site editing theme? Like, would there be like no? Would there be a purpose?
Divi or Beaver Themer builds the whole. It replaces. It is the theme.
It is the theme.
So it's whatever is in those. Yeah.
So that full site editing thing is like this. I think this is Generate Press. No, it's Astra. So here you can see I still have customized widgets menus. If I were to switch it to the full site editing theme, which you can tell because they put full site editing. Oh, where is it? It's going to be in 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put full site editing down in the theme
in the
tags. Then all this goes away, and all you have there is the site editing interface that Sally was showing us. So right now it's very much one or the other. Like you're using traditional WordPress, or you're using the 6 or the 5.0 whatever full site editing version, depending on the theme that you've chosen.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And if you're using an Elementor theme, that is your theme. So whatever is built in that is what those are the tools that are available.
Right. I have noticed we're just using like hello. I mean, just like the basic Elementor.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the page builders have that. You can either just use the page builders, which gives you some cool blocks and modules and things. But if you're using the page builder on that page, you won't use the block editor on that page.
I mean, Elementor has probably all the features we already talked about. So I think they're like, loads ahead of WordPress block editor. as far as that stuff goes. So don't feel discouraged. You've
Yeah,
probably been able to do
when
almost
Block
all this
Editor
stuff
first came
and
out,
way
yeah,
more.
when Block
for a
Editor
while.
first came out, everyone said, well, what's going to happen to site editors? What's going to happen to page builders? That they're miles ahead
They really are.
as far
Yeah.
as the way you're able to style things and like the query loop that Clare built, those are already in the page builders.
It's
You know, I've
pretty
been using
basic
those for a
still in
while.
WordPress. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
It's the whole block editor and FSC is very young in the WordPress world. For page builders, they've been doing it for a while.
It is something to keep in mind. Like, how can that be sustainable when WordPress ever catches up, knowing that you probably want to stick closer to core, unless there's just some amazing features that the editors can build that WordPress doesn't have. And at what point, how far away is that? And so if you're thinking about like the websites you're building, if you build one now, well, you're probably fine. But like, there's going to be a point where you're like, maybe I shouldn't use this page builder anymore for whatever reason. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they'll have some new cool features by then.
Or if it's a really simple site that doesn't need a lot of bells and whistles,
Right.
this will be awesome.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
I mean, this does a lot.
But there's a pro version. We're trying to avoid that too, in Elementor. So
The pro version has some handy, like all these plugins have handy, like reusable, like global styles. If you create something like a button, then you can apply those styles that you've set everywhere and it updates it. So that's like one super good thing about pro versions. But yeah, there's a yearly cost. And I don't know what kind of like lifetime licenses are available for some of these plugins.
Yeah.
Fewer and fewer. You
But I
usually
built
see
a
the
free
lifetime deals in
Elementor
the
site and
beginning.
it was fine.
Yeah. But what I was showing or trying to show and not doing very well is in that the template parts, that's that same kind of thing where you can create those global pieces that are used throughout the site. So WordPress is catching up, and it's going to be one of those things that maybe in 2 years we'll all have to reevaluate. Am I going to renew this page builder license again, or am I going to start moving to all block editor? We'll just have to see how fast the innovation happens.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Feels faster nowadays.
Oh, it's 8 o'clock, so it's about time to wrap up. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, I'm gonna stop
I
recording.
appreciate your all these recordings. You've got building up a block library
Right.
now.
Anyone wants to see some people from Naperville talking about WordPress? They know where to go.
I just not need to, when I really get anywhere with blocks, and haven't gone very far, I need to just take the whole set, just do a binge day. And
It might be kind of cool once we can all gather in person again safely. Maybe we just have some workshops on, 3 or 4 of us gathering together and building this or that. Or we could do it online too, I suppose. But